Today I'm joined by Tim Pflieger of Door County Adventure Center. Tim, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good to have you here. Tim, let's start with your backstory. Can you give us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today?
So, after spending 9 years in higher education and in both 4-year and 2-year public and private universities, I had an opportunity, and that's how I always viewed it, of being non-renewed. So I returned to my family farm in Door County, Wisconsin, and literally walked out the back door of my parents' house and looked at the turn of the century dairy barn. And that became the idea for my first company, which was called the Team Leadership Center. And we rebranded to Door County Adventure Center in 2009. When I created the company, that was 30 years ago. And so we rebranded because we're in a tourist area and we have many different things that we provide in our guest services as well as our clientele. In that location, we have a pay for play part of our business. I'm a professional adventure guide, and so we do guiding and outfitting. But I spend a lot of my time in my original roots of functional teamwork and leadership development. And so because we owned a high and low ropes challenge course and an aerial adventure park and a zip line operation, we also did lots of different types of programmings from fifth graders to adults.
That's amazing. You've clearly built something really solid. What's working really well in your business for you?
So I think in our history, because we are so unique in what we offer, we do an experiential and adventure-based programming. And it doesn't matter if I'm in a traditional classroom, doing a presentation or doing instruction or training. I'm utilizing my experiential background. So I think that's one of the things that has made it very unique for us. I'll do lecture format, I'll do PowerPoint if you force me to, but I'd much rather engage people in an interactive way while they're learning or enhancing or maybe relearning skills.
Yeah, I love that. What part of building your business really forced you to grow as a leader?
So part of my challenge is being a small business is that part of the nature of part of my business is people come and go. And because people come and go and understanding that people are going to come and go, my leadership approach has to be from a collaborative model. And it has to have an understanding that I'm going to invest energy and time and skill in people. And in some cases, their experience with me and my team is going to be a stepping stone. In some cases, it's a career path. And so as a leader, I really need to make sure that I'm attending to not only what they're there for, but what we need to provide in terms of our clients and our guests. And so that oftentimes can be frustrating as a leader because you have turnover. But it's really allowed me in my flexibility in terms of the manner in which I lead and the manner in which I create opportunities for people to self-grow in a very quick, fast-paced environment.
I love that. So it's being open and flexible and adaptable. And it sounds like you're meeting not only your clients, but your team members, sort of where they are, whether they stay long-term or whether it's a career. That's really helped build your business. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, I think sometimes as a leader, we can get trapped into what has always worked. And my culture of work, being in an adventure-based company, is that there is always something new on the horizon. I'm talking to you from Texas right now, where I'm exploring an expansion into Texas. And so one of the things that has always worked for us as an organization and for me personally as a leader is that flexibility in thinking and creating opportunity, whether it's for a team member or whether it's for a client or whether it's for the organization as a whole.
I love that. So I imagine you as a leader, that was an evolution over time. It's not something that we all sort of just start from day one. Looking back, what's one piece of advice you'd give your younger self?
To understand that patience is a practice. And while you are trying to be patient, that doesn't mean that you're not taking action. And so one of the pieces I think that's hard for us in our personal leadership, which is really what you're talking about, is personal leadership, is to understand our habits and our routines that prevent us from taking action because we have a lot of urgency. But there is patience that we have to balance that, because we don't have all the influence and or control that we'd like to have to move things as forward as we want to. And so that, for my younger self, I was rather impatient and rather urgent all the time. I've learned as I've seasoned here to practice believing in a process.
I can so relate to that. It's easy to become very results oriented and not necessarily the progress oriented. I think it's being destination focused versus journey focused.
And I think once I created my own company, that's where I really had to embrace that process piece very, very well and understand there's a process here. And sometimes I can't influence, oftentimes I can't. That I just need to let the process play, and the process will play out.
Yes. If only we all had a crystal ball, it would make it so much easier, wouldn't it? What's one of your biggest wins or proudest moments?
I think it happens sometimes in a moment where people's perceived limitation and perceived and belief system is challenged, and then it's altered. It'll come out in limiting belief. It'll come out in design of a program that I'm really pushing people to an experience that they've never thought of before. And so those kinds of moments are the moments that I hope for, and when they appear, I celebrate.
So is that for yourself or for your clients as well?
That's clients. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's client based.
And is that what a lot of your work centers around? I know it's very experiential learning, but at the end, I guess, what is the end result? Is it to get those shifts of change in reference, belief systems, breaking down belief systems? Is that what you help?
I think it's that, but I also think it's understanding that it's it is your personal leadership, or in many times your organizational leadership, that is creating limits on people that prevents. And my word today is capability. You've aligned other leaders and other members around you in your culture to do a certain type of work, yet you're limiting your capability of why you combined all that resource. And so what I try to do, both on a personal level and a team level and an organizational culture level, is to get people to really get clear about what's this capability that you are not enhancing today, you are not attaining today, that's preventing you from what you're capable of. And so sometimes it's self-belief, sometimes it's paradigm, a lot of times it's culture. The culture doesn't give permission for. It's too hierarchical, or it's too power and control based. And so when I can create those types of experiences, and when I'm allowed with a group of people to really look at functional, then we discover capability that hasn't been achieved yet.
I love that. It really leads into my next question, and perhaps you've answered this, but I'll ask it anyways. What is the one truth about leadership or business that you would share with new entrepreneurs?
I have always said for a long time, in order for someone to work with someone, there are a couple of things that need to happen. Number one, they need to own their own business, because the value of owning your own business has a different impact. Number two, you need to work in a place where you're passionately in and lose it. And number three, it needs to be outside your comfort zone, because our effectiveness is captured in our capability when we're outside our comfort zones. And so for a new entrepreneur, get out of your comfort zone, utilize resources around you, and it may not be hiring people. Don't hire anybody until you have to. And then try to replicate who you are and what you are with how you do in your process. And most importantly, understand that people do not have the same value of work and how you work because you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think that last point is really key. So understanding your value and the other and your team members or employees' value is all about, I would assume, creating culture, creating the right culture based on values that help drive your business forward.
When I'm invited into organizations to do a training or to facilitate a program or to public speak, I'm always aware of culture. And it is the culture that either grows and develops or inhibits and limits. And so I'm constantly looking at those two things from a functional standpoint, because it creates dysfunction for people. It creates dysfunction in process or in product. And it's usually one of those three.
Is that sort of the one thing that you focus on when you work with people, especially in the leadership space?
Yeah, if they're open to it and they work in a mature culture of work, and they themselves are mature in their leadership, then I can have great influence. But oftentimes I'm invited into some cultures that aren't ready for that and aren't prepared for it. And so that I'm always after that transfer piece. You know, you asked me earlier, what's the part? Well, I want transfer. It's not that this was a great experience and a great day and you get a binder and you put it on your bookshelf and 6 months or a year from now you look at it and go, oh, that was a great day. But there's no personal transfer or there's no organizational transfer. And so I want transfer.
Yeah, that's key. And it must be so rewarding when you do see that transfer and the transformation within a culture or within individuals within a company.
Yeah, I just before we came online, I got an email from a client in Iowa. I was helping a leadership team in a school system become more functional. And the person that brought me in on recommendation, she just emailed me and said, I need to keep you in my file, and I'm going to reach out again when I think we are ready for you to work with us again and when I need you. And so what that tells me is, okay, we've captured the part that we need to capture, and you now have a process and progress that you're working on, and you're going to let me know when you need me as a resource again.
I love that. What a great testimony to the work that you're doing and the results that you get. So Tim, no journey is without its curveballs. We all know that. What's something that surprised you or challenged your assumptions along the way?
Tourist arena, the pay for play arena, it's the fickleness of people. In the organizational development world, in the training world, how often I'm hired, they spend tremendous amount of time and energy and money to have me there, but they have done nothing to prepare the people for why I'm there. And then they make the second error. They don't have a process for transfer of what people have learned so they can influence culture. And I witnessed this way too often. And I wasn't really prepared for that. And so as a person who works in functional teamwork, if you're paying attention to the species, I'll always have work.
So has that shifted the way you work with teams now to sort of help prepare and get that transformation?
Yeah, I have to ask an important question up front. Is this a social recreation, get away from work for some time and bond and collect? And is it that? Or is it you're a mature work culture and you want to start to have solutions for the dysfunction that's happening within your culture, whether it's people, whether it's process, whether it's product? And so I have to get very, very clear up front, because if I'm in front of one of them and doing the other, it does not work.
Yeah, it's very key to make that distinction, to get
Absolutely.
the best results, whatever that may be.
And sometimes that's happening in the process of what I have laid out, of what I think I'm going to be doing. And within that time period, certain things start to click and certain things start to change, and I'm pivoting. And then I'm making sure that when I'm done, there is a process for that, again, to transfer and apply and continue.
Yeah, very key. What's one experiment or bold move that has paid off for your business?
Continuing to be aware of markets that are unexplored or have been utilized in the past but aren't serving anymore. The reason I'm in Texas, I'm outside of Austin, Texas right now, is that there isn't anybody here doing what I do. And so I've brought a trailer of off-road Segways to this location to create an experiential team building experience on functional teamwork, and then also do recreational tours. And so that's the one piece that has worked for me.
It's a client reaching out to you.
No, it was spam.
Okay. When you think about the future, your business and yourself, what does success look like in the next year, 3 years, 5 years?
For me, my window is a little bit different now that I've been at this for so long. I would say within the next 3 to 4 years, I'm going to be transitioning. And what that means is to do more of the consulting and to do more of the corporate training than all of the other things that I'm currently doing. Because I now have a team that I can hand those things off to be doing more of the day-to-day. I'm stuck currently in day-to-day, and that transition is happening in the next 1 to 3 years.
That's amazing. And what vision do you have for your business? You said earlier that you're always looking for opportunities. You're in a new market today. Where would you like your business to grow? What would you like to see with that?
The successes that we've had in Door County, Wisconsin, I want to translate here to Austin, Texas. And so we have some success there that we can replicate. And so I want to replicate that in this market. I think this is a market that doesn't have what I do. And so I want to replicate that.
Now, as we wrap up, I'd like to leave our listeners with one key takeaway. What's one piece of advice you'd give to leaders navigating change?
It's not about you. It's never been about you. And the minute that you think it is about you, you need to retire, you need to resign, you need to get out of leadership, because you will be in the way of what it is that you are trying to achieve with that group of people. And so that's the number one thing that you need to get very, very clear about, because it is often leadership and oftentimes personal leadership that is in the way of collaborativeness and capability of people.
So simple and so true, but I think very hard to apply for a lot of people, which is why we need more people like you and more businesses like you to help transform leadership and culture.
Well, that's what I love to do every day when I'm invited.
Tim, thank you so much for sharing your story and your insights with us. Where can our listeners find you online?
So my website is doorcountyadventurecenter.com. That's the easiest way to find me. We have all of the social media that people can find, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. You can find me there also personally. I do have a personal LinkedIn page as well as an organizational page. So those are probably the best ways to find me.
Perfect. We'll share those links in the show notes. And Tim, thank you so much for joining me on the Leadership Lab. Really enjoyed having you.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for spending your time with me today on the Leadership Lab podcast. My hope is that this conversation sparked a new perspective or reinforced something you already knew. Until next time, keep leading with curiosity and intention.